Welcome to the 10th episode of Let's Conquer Books. Lloyd Alexander said, "Keep reading. It's one of the most marvelous adventures that anyone can have." In this episode, we talk about how the Grit book will help you understand that grit is important for success. Grit also helps you understand the importance of identifying one's passion, and grit helps you understand that having control over your fate and hard work can change your outcomes. So let's get into it. First, I want to mention that I'm kind of going through a rebranding with this podcast. It's not Unfortunately I Read Books, it's Let's Conquer Books, hosted by me, Alexander the Great Reader, which is a play off the name of Alexander the Great. And I've been working on the mission vision statement, and it goes like this. Let's Conquer Books is a podcast where I ally with other book conquerors who have the desire to seek books to conquer continuously. By continually conquering books, we build an army of books to help us win the many battles of life. So, like I said, I'm just documenting this journey, and this is where we are right now. We're rebranding it, so there's a niche to my podcast, and a certain person looking for information will find this and understand what we provide. So this book I'm talking about today is Grit, done by the author Angela Duckworth. She went to Harvard for her bachelor's, which is a prestigious school, Oxford for her master's, another prestigious school, and finally got her PhD in psychology at the University of Pennsylvania. Right now she advises the White House, the World Bank, and NBA and NFL teams. I know she advised the Seattle Seahawks, who play the NFL, the year they won the championship. And she also advises Fortune 500 CEOs. By the way, she advises me because I read her book, and she can advise you if you read her book. And you only have to pay $15, $20. Or she'll advise you for free if you go to the library and get the book. That's the beauty of reading books. We're having access to such intelligence, people who dedicate their lives to certain strategies and research. So through her research, she created a way to measure success. That research focused on grit, and she defines it as a tendency to sustain interest in an effort toward very long-term goals. And it also contains self-control, which she defined as the voluntary regulation of impulses in the presence of momentarily gratifying temptations. And her research results are amazing. So I'm going to talk a little about the 3 takeaways that I mentioned earlier. So takeaway 1 is talent is less important than grit for achieving success. Again, talent is less important than grit for achieving success. And she gave a story of this Beast Week at West Point. It's like a military branch, and it's a difficult 7-week training gauntlet. And the officials there, they wanted to know why high SAT scores or high grades were not more likely to survive the beast than those with lower scores. They found out that talent was not the issue. The measure of grit was more successfully predicted more which cadets would finish the beast. She was measuring these soldiers, these cadets, and the results were that her measurements was predicting success more than SATs or high grades. So reading that really inspired me, because I'm not talented at reading books. I'm not gifted. I'm a high school dropout. Again, I'm not going to stop mentioning that because that's my story, and that motivates others who are around the area that I am or less than me, that they can do it. You know, I never read books, and then I started to develop this thing called grit. And I had reading goals and strategies, and continuously pursuing those strategies and goals. I was building grit at the same time, and now I read 105 books in 2017. So the credit does not go to any talent or gift that I have, but the grit that I had during this process to now being able to read 105 books. And I tie that all in with that last episode, episode 9, the growth mindset. This all ties in together. So takeaway number 2 is to cultivate grit, because it's important to identify one's passion. So again, to cultivate grit, it is important to identify one's passion. So she talks about this folk singer called Judy Collins and how she had grit in the singing career and placing her passions at the center of her life by cutting out pleasures or interests that might undermine her focus. She was famous for her voice because of her rigorous diet and exercise regime. She was taking vitamins, avoiding sugars and grains, and exercising every day. So she was cultivating that grit because she had a passion. Same thing with me. I realized I had a passion for books. So to cultivate that passion, I had to find books that will help me gain knowledge and intellect. That's what I wanted. So I started following book readers and authors on social media. I started to listen to book readers' podcasts and spending time for looking for books on Goodreads and Amazon, looking all of the recommendations and reviews and anything that was mentioned books. A little radar came on. And I continually was building my want list. So I had to find a way to have more time to read. So since I had a passion, I was cultivating this grit. So I started reading the first thing in the morning and the last thing at night. And I always had a physical book or a book app while on downtimes, like waiting for someone while they're shopping or in line to go buy something or customer service on the phone or anything. I always had a book. And, it's easy to just look at your phone or do something else in the morning and night. But I had a passion and I was sticking to what I needed to do. And again, this grit that I was cultivating helped me read 105 books in 2017. So takeaway number 3 is gritty people feel they have control over their fate and that hard work can change outcomes. That's a good one. Gritty people feel they have control over their fate and that hard work can change outcomes. Now, I wanted to read 60 books a year like an average CEO. I knew I couldn't measure up to that capacity or skills. I read that one day and I was like, wow, I thought that a CEO is like a certain person that has certain abilities and skills, and that's why they can read so much books. But I had a growth mindset, and I was like, I'm going to have to build some grit because I can control my fate. Maybe I can't be a CEO, but I can read 60 books. So I separated that view to just reading 60 books a year. So I knew that I had to read like an hour and a half a day. So I had to build grit to read that every day, consistently, responsibly, 1 hour and a half a day. I had to start reading more difficult books if I want to expand my intelligence and my knowledge, like reading books by Ayn Rand, Freud, Carl Jung, Milton Friedman. Difficult books that at first takes a lot of grit. But I was in control of my faith, and I knew I had to put that hard work to change the outcome of the type of reader I'm going to be. Now I'm reading over 60 books a year, which is more than the average CEO reads. So I'm exceeding this capacity that average CEO has. Doesn't mean I'm going to be a CEO, but you never know. I'm just going to keep going towards this passion that I have, keep building that grit, and keep documenting this journey. So that's for that episode, for this 3-part series. Or actually, I'm going to make it a 5-part. I just thought of this week 3 more books. It's going to be a 5-part series. My reading challenge is at 18 books as of recording, so I'm doing good. Looks like I'm going to pass 60 books, but I always keep that 60 book goal every year just with the average CEO reads. That's just the goal I always set. Maybe I'm going to change that to 100, but we'll see. See you on the next one. Please subscribe to my podcast on Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, or any other platform that provides podcasts, so you don't miss the part 3 of the life-changing books that helped me read 105 books in 2017 series, which so far now is going to be scheduled to have 5 parts.